The official Vintage Guitar Magazine Price Guide has partnered with 33 of the top guitar dealers in the industry to provide the most accurate values for thousands of models. This includes electric guitars, acoustic guitars, basses, amplifiers, effects, mandolins, and banjos. Whether your instrument is an investment or simply a piece you enjoy playing, it's always helpful to know what it's worth. If you're checking out a guitar at your local shop and want to know its value before making the purchase, this guide is your go-to source for all the details. Available in both print and digital editions, you can have the guide right at your fingertips no matter where you go.
Hello, and welcome to Buy That Guitar, presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine. I'm your host, Ram Tuli. This podcast is about the joy of guitar. That includes buying guitars, selling guitars, collecting guitars. We're talking vintage guitars, new guitars, used guitars, pre-war, flat tops, electric Spanish arch tops, custom shop guitars, limited edition guitars, basses, amps, effect pedals, lap steels, mandolins, banjo. If it has strings, we're going to talk about it. I spent most of my life studying the vintage guitar market. It's truly something I love and I'm passionate about. I can talk guitars all day, and I'm going to. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another thrilling edition of Buy That Guitar, presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine. Today, I'm joined by Cindy Hulej of Carmine Street Guitars, one of the most distinctive and inspiring guitar shops in New York City. Working alongside master builder Rick Kelly, Cindy creates remarkable instruments from reclaimed wood taken from historic New York buildings, wood that carries the character, history, and spirit of the city itself. She's also developed quite a style in building her own guitars that blend traditional craftsmanship with bold artistic vision. Hello, Cindy.
Hi, how are you, Bill?
Good. I'm so glad you're on this. I've been kind of wanting to do this for a while, and I see you all the time, every day on and your little feeds show up in my in my thing. And there's two things I love more than anything: guitar feeds and woodworking feeds. So you basically give me everything I need for the whole day.
I love that. It's a lot of work, but I have fun doing it at this point. I wasn't even on social media when I started here.
No,
I was doing it just for Rick, but it's cool to be able to show everybody that.
Yeah, my wife's actually the one that says, "Hey, you got to see this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen it. Believe me." She always sends me stuff that she thinks I like, and I'm like, "No, I've seen it. Believe me, I watch them every day." So,
I love that.
So that's cool.
That.
This is actually. I have a bucket list, of course, and one of the things on my bucket list is to get a guitar from Carmine Street Guitars. And this is like from going way back, because when Rick was doing this originally, I remember seeing it. There was like a big to-do about, that Rick was using this old, Bowery pine that's 150 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember thinking, wow, I bet that would be the coolest thing in the world is to get I think that's the kind of thing you have to actually physically show up and play and, go through them all. But that's on my bucket list, so it's coming. I'll be there. I'll pick out something nice.
We're looking forward to
it. Now you make guitars to order, right? People come up and say, "Oh, I want this," right?
Yeah, mostly Rick's just keeping the store stock now, so he's making about one a week or so, and I'm doing custom orders, but I'm at about a 2.5, 3-year wait for mine.
So if you want something that you make, it's got to be ordered.
Pretty much. I mean, I'll put something out. I kind of build in some time in between for myself just to make something that I might want to make. So maybe like a few a year, maybe like 3 or 4 a year I'll put out that are just available. But other than that, yeah, it's just custom orders and we ship all over the place.
It's like a one of a kind, right? There are no two Carmine Street guitars
100%
that look the same or weigh the same, sound the same, everything. So
yeah, no, I mean, most of our guitars are actually very light in weight, which is something that I get a lot online. Like, that thing looks like it weighs 40 pounds.
They do.
Like, no, this old growth, they're trees that grew for 500-800 years, and then they were seasoning naturally indoors another 100 to 200 years. And the pine, the old growth pine is very light in weight for the most part. I mean, you can find some heavier pieces, but yeah, I've never made anything the same in almost 15 years now, and I don't replicate any of my artwork either.
Right. Let's talk about the history of the Carmine Street guitars. This has been around for a long time. The mid-'70s, when Rick started.
Well, Rick started building in 68. under Kelly Guitars, and he had a few other things. But Carmine Street has been here in this location for about 40
This is
years now
42 Carmine
on
Street?
Carmine Street.
Okay.
Yes.
I was watching this thing on PBS about the Civil War, and it was talking about the draft riots in New York City. And it was all Carmine Street. I was like, hey, I know where that is.
Yes. There's a lot of history in this street. We call it 42 Carmine, the center of the universe.
It is for people that live in Greenwich Village.
Absolutely.
So now, did Rick always just build, like when he started building, he was just building normal Telecaster type guitars, right?
Well, he got one board from his grandfather that his grandfather made him pay for, and he made his first 3 electrics out of that because he couldn't afford to buy one. And at some point, he went to Micah for sculpture, and that's when he started building Appalachian dulcimers down in Maryland. He was living on a farm for about 10 years, and he realized he couldn't afford to be a sculptor because, bronze and all that, you have to have a lot of money to build up a portfolio for that. So he started going to farm auctions and bought a ton of reclaimed lumber. So we still have a lot of that here. We've got 150-year-old hard rock flaming maple. We've got Brazilian rosewood, Gabon ebony, oak, cedar, paduke, zebra wood. I mean, all kinds of stuff, but everything's old growth.
Yeah, that's if you're going to write a dulcimer song, that'd be a great song to write about growing up.
Yeah. He made about 200 of those, and then he was teaching instrument making and inlay and marquetry at the Smithsonian for some years, and that's when he really started getting into acoustics, and also, he was always building the electrics. So yeah, we don't really make too many acoustics anymore, maybe one a year, if that. But yeah, we do a lot of electrics.
You mostly just do solid bodies, right?
Yeah, solid bodies. We've done a couple that are sort of hollow body-ish, but mostly chambered otherwise. We don't, I mean, we do chambered stuff, but it's really just solid body electrics, basses, guitars, basses, and now I'm building lap steels as well.
That should be a little easier. You could just take the whole board and put a bridge on it and say, "Hey, look, this is."
Hey, mine are a little more.
Yeah, I know.
But they're so
But
fun.
let's talk tone wood. Okay, now there's this whole guitar world. There's all these snobs in the world. I always talk about tone wood. I'm a tone wood guy. But there really is something to old wood. Right? I mean, we're not being snobs. There really is magic in an old piece of wood, right?
Well, absolutely. It's something again. If these are trees that grew for 500 to 800 years, if you just look at the rings on them,
they grew slowly.
Go to a hardware store and look down a beam, you're gonna see it completely warped.
Well, the thing is,
this is the wood that King George used.
Right.
He used to mark them with his arrow marks because he wanted to use it for his ship masts, and that's how strong this pine is. And it's a little warmer in tone, but it's just great for instrument making. It's the same family as Stradivarius' stuff. It's just beautiful stuff, sonically and everything.
It really is. And you really can't explain that to somebody who doesn't actually sit and play something that is old wood, old growth wood, where that grew slowly.
You got to be open-minded and understand that
the drying,
stuff.
the drying, and then, not only did it naturally dry out before it was used, it's been sitting around for 200 years. It's pretty dried out.
Well, that's the thing. It's not roasted or toasted where the sap's just getting hard again or whatever in there. These season and open up. All the molecules in there crystallize, and if you look through like a microscope at the old pine, especially quarter sawn, it looks like a bundle of straws, so it opens up for all these vibrations in the wood, and it's just a whole different thing. For people that are closed-minded, it's one thing, but they don't know what they're talking about.
So for us, it is about the wood. And that's why, 15 years ago, I remember on my bucket list was, I read about this guy, Rick Kelly, who was making stuff out of old barnwood, out of old Bowery pine. And I was like, man, I bet those are some great sounding Telecasters, because a Telecaster as it is already a great sounding everything. But man, out of that original pine, that'd have been something.
Yeah, he's a big Model T fan for
sure.
sure.
Now, let's
It's
get
his
into it. Like,
favorite.
how did you? Were you a guitar player like 15, 20 years ago, or you just started out?
My father grew up playing guitar, so he was a guitarist his whole life, and I picked it up at about 8. So at this point, I should be at least just as good as him, but I'm not. But but yeah, I got in it. I got into it because of him, and I got into Rick's work because I was following him on the gear page throughout high
Mm-hmm.
school, and I just completely, I really wanted a guitar from him, but there's no way I could afford it. And when the time came, I kind of went over a list of what am I going to do because I was working in galleries and stuff with the art background, and I didn't want to work in Guitar Center or anything. I really wanted to learn the craft, and I didn't want to move out west because I got a lot of history here in New York, family wise, and just growing up, going to the punk scene stuff, the shows and everything here. I always wanted to be in New York City, but I just really appreciated Rick's whole vibe and what I've seen of his work online, and that he appreciates
Mm-hmm.
old craftsmanship, and all the historical stuff with New York
Right.
City. It's just I just really related to him, and I didn't even know he was an artist when I came in, but we related on that too, which was just awesome. He could tell that I didn't want to just make myself something and
Mm-hmm.
leave, so I got very lucky walking in here.
I guess he said. I think in one of your things you say, well, he said he couldn't pay you.
Yes. I had about a year's of unemployment that just about covered my rent for the first like 4 or 5 years here. I had a side job to make up for it, but I still had orders. I started getting orders probably about a year and a half in or so, year and a half in, but I was still doing kind of a job on the side. So I would come here most of the day, and then around 5, I'd leave and work until about 10 or 11. And
Mm-hmm.
that got me by for a while until I really started getting custom orders.
Do you keep track of all your original builds? People that still have them? Do you still keep in contact with them?
Well, I guess no news is good news. It's one of the things I complain about
Mm-hmm.
because I make a lot of guitars, and sometimes I get to see them because people are around the tri-state area and they'll bring them back and say hi or send me photos. But a lot of people, I don't even really get to see many of the photos or anything. And but I've never had any complaints, and everyone's so personal that
Right. It might pain you to see something go out that you spent, so much blood
every
energy on.
single one of them,
Yeah, it's like they're children, right?
every
They're like
single
your
one of
children.
them
So
is
you're just
so
like,
bittersweet.
give it a good home,
Yeah.
take care of it, and you probably like look at somebody and say, I don't think I want you to have one of my guitars, Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't do that. I think anybody who gets this should have one,
Hmm.
and they just make you want to play more when you get something custom that's really special to,
Hmm.
whatever you're about and whatever you're looking for. So it's a real pleasure in building and making these.
Let's walk
Yeah.
through the way, like, let's say you get an order. Do you talk?
Mhm.
So you basically somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, I really want you to make me something," and then they describe it to you, or do you kind of like try to lead them down a path, or do you basically just take, okay, they want SG style with this kind of pickup, and is that how you do? You just kind of like make a checklist or whatever, and then
Well, every single build is different, Somebody might want something really traditional looking, and somebody might want something completely crazy. So it's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of really personal sort of, I'm going to text you multiple
hmm.
times a day or call you when you're working and drive you nuts asking about
Are you
specs and
sure you
stuff.
want
But
rail pickups on this? Or
yeah, I
you're really
mean,
serious about
but
that?
yeah, but no, it's just kind of more of a personal experience. So some people might just say, I really love your work, just go for,
Hmm.
whatever you want to do. And then other people are like, I want this, and this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, we can do that, but we just have to, as long as I have templates for it, or if I have to make them, obviously, that's just more time.
Right.
I just don't do anything illegal.
Hmm.
So I always tell them if it's an illegal shape or an illegal headstock, I won't do it. So it's got to be my own version of something.
And by legal, you mean copyrighted, something that's already copyrighted.
The patented stuff, yeah, the yeah, the Fender
Right.
headstock
Right.
you're not allowed to make those. You're not allowed to make, Les Paul shapes and stuff like that. So I always try and do something that's my own, even if they're all one off anyway.
Right. And that's the thing, like your headstocks are different, the body shapes are different and everything. What's
Mm-hmm.
the craziest body shape somebody asked you to do?
I think it must have been the Dungeons and Dragons inspired one. It was basically this wrapped around dragon with a light up eye and these teeth and stuff, but it was all basically 3D carved and wood burned and painted.
Wow.
And it took me about 53 days over 6 months to complete. And that one went up to Canada, but it was real cool.
Oh yeah. I bet.
And compared to the sketches, it's always like a trip because sometimes like the one I just finished, it's called The Beast. That originally started out as this sketch that was all this Victorian carving and stuff, and it just ended up being this sort of misfits looking double horned crazy like beveled carved thing. So I mean, I just kind of go with the flow as I'm working because I'm usually working on like 5 to 10 at a time as well.
In your videos, you're always sitting there using hand tools.
A lot of hand tools. Even if I don't have to use hand tools, Rick's always told me that. He always says use as many hand tools as you can, and it's enjoyable for me.
That's part of the charm of having a hand built guitar is the luthier use
Absolutely.
hand tools.
There's no CNCs or anything here. We have like the old school version of it in terms of maybe making like for our contours, we use an old what's called the Star Carver Duplicarver. Star Carver is a brand, but they used to be used for gun stocks and decoys, and Rick modified it to do the contours on, S models and offsets and things like that. It's basically a copy carver, but other than that, I mean, even then, a lot of the time I'll hand carve my contours. I won't even use that machine.
I remember when I was younger, there used to be a show was called This Old House, was on PBS.
I watch it all the time still. We both do.
When I was, I was young and I was married, and my wife and I, we had 4 kids. We lived in a Maryland townhome, and I was like, man, if only I had a garage, I'd have a lathe. I'd have one of those miter cut saw things. I'd be doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And now, I'm an old man and I got a garage and I don't do anything. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
But I to me, it was like, I love, gosh, like just turning, how people that turn wood. And I can sit and watch videos of some guy just turning, what are you gonna do? Make spindles?
Yeah. I mean, it's a different thing. It's not my thing, but I can appreciate what a lot of weird things that people are doing, but I like what I'm doing the most.
No, that is the hand tools. It makes all the difference in the world. It's like, it's old wood. They kind of need to treat it originally. Now, here's the thing. You guys, when you get this old wood, don't you have to pull out all the nails?
We do.
How long does that take? Like, is that like the day one of the lumber comes in? Somebody has to sit there with it and pull out the nails.
It can take, I mean, it can take some hours, especially if you've got a few boards to work on. Some nails are deep, or sometimes they'll even have some screws in there that you really got to dig out, and that's like a whole nother pain in the ass to deal with. But it's a whole process just to get the board prepped that way.
That's where I think that's the way you kind of date the wood too sometimes, because if they have cut nails, they were made in the 1850s.
All of the stuff that we use have those old iron hand cut nails, the square nails, and we actually now use those for our pole pieces.
I saw that
in our signature pickups, the nail head pickups. Yeah, and we actually get them custom made by our friend Smitty with MJS up in Toronto, and we sent him some of our Chelsea hotel wood, and he uses the nail heads or the nails for the pole pieces. So it's got the wooden face on it with the nails going through it, and they're just wicked.
Oh, I bet. Somebody, I think it was Rick, said that they were made by prisoners. That's how all those nails are made in the New York State prison.
Oh, yeah. He's got the whole story behind that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's pretty great. Yeah.
Now, like, let's say you mentioned that you're doing 5 builds usually together. How long did it take you to finish something?
I mean, if I was just working on like a simple Model T or something, I could build it in about a week as well. But with my customs, a lot of people want artwork or extras or something different. So as having the sort of artist brain that I do, I kind of got to jump around a little bit more. But Rick's working on about he finishes like one or maybe even 1.5, 2 a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean mine just take a little longer in general just because of the custom specs and extras.
Right. And that's why somebody comes to you, because they know that you're going to put that extra something different that
Yes,
nobody else will ever see.
exactly. Yeah.
So you were saying that it may take somebody 2 or 3 years to get something for you to finish for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm at about 2.5, 3 years right now. I just started taking a couple more orders, but I don't know, I might even stop
Mm-hmm.
again and try to catch up with some stuff because I got a lot of orders waiting.
Mm-hmm. That's a
I'm
good problem. Yeah,
excited.
that's a good problem to have, right?
I'm
I mean,
excited.
the longer you make them wait, the
Yes.
more, they're probably not going to complain, you know?
I've never had anybody complain, and I always try and even along the way, if people have questions that are waiting, I always really try
Mm-hmm.
to, talk to everybody and try to figure out where everybody is. But then again, I get somebody like one of the guys coming up. He saw that I made the lap steel and he originally wanted a Model T. And he called me just the other week and he was like, Cindy, I seen the lap steel you made. And he was like, I gotta get a lap steel instead. And I was like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, I didn't start making it yet, so let's do it,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a whole nother order. But it's cool. So I try and work with people and make sure that they get what they want.
What takes the longest in the build? Is just getting it designed or the actual physical carving?
That depends on the build. If I'm working on like a Cindy inspired sort of, I should say a Red Special inspired Cindy right
Mm-hmm.
now, like Brian May's guitar, and I'm building it a bit different, but I mean, it's going to take a lot of templates,
Mm-hmm.
so as I'm going along, I'm trying to figure this thing out. I've already got like 3 or 4 templates, but it's probably going to need about 3 or 4 more. So, that's a lot of the process, laying
Right,
everything
before
out,
you get too
making the
far into it.
templates,
Yeah.
making sure you need the templates first,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you don't have any templates for anything, you got to hand draw the whole thing and make sure everything's lining up and make sure everything's in order. So if you're starting from scratch that way, if somebody wants a completely unique shape, then that takes a lot of
Mm-hmm.
time to make sure everything's right. But otherwise, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
sanding always takes forever. You think you're done, and then it goes, oh no,
No.
you need more. Oh no, you still got to sand through this. So wait,
I noticed
is
that when
this?
you put the lacquer on, you do it by hand. You don't
Mhm.
spray it. You don't have a spray booth. You take a
Mm-mm.
can, you open it, and
Well, Rick used to. Rick used to do all kinds of flip-flop finishes and candy apple
mm-hmm.
and all these beautiful card type finishes. So he has that background and he's amazing at it. But you're not allowed to have spray booths in New York City anymore. So we haven't had a spray booth in a long time, but choose not to really,
Mm-hmm.
because with this old wood, it's nice to be able to hand mix your finish more like, a violin style
Right.
finish. We use shellac and we hand mix the shellac flakes and they come from the lac bug, which is also natural. So it kind of breathes
Right.
and moves with the wood a little bit more than what nitro or poly would, a
Yeah, because
plastic
the earliest
coating.
instruments, they use the shellac, like the old original, the violins and stuff.
Yeah,
They use
it's
shellac.
amazing stuff. Yes.
They didn't really get into the lacquers until probably the 40s and 50s, right? And then
Yeah, and it's all chemical
right
crap. I
by
don't wanna work with
1970,
that,
it was all
honestly. I
banned.
I mean,
Carson
I'd
did it.
much
Yeah.
rather work with shellac than or even, we work with Renaissance wax too.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of like or whatever kind of wax, the wax coatings even over the shellac are real nice. It makes it real nice and smooth.
So most of your builds, you'll put the shellac, that kind of a finish on the wood.
Yeah, that's mostly what we use. Yeah, if I have artwork or something, I'll use polyacrylic, but that's still brushed on because the shellac,
Hmm.
even the clearest is a little bit tinted, and so if I have highlights and stuff in my artwork on the wood, it'll just flatten them. And I learned that the hard way over years, but I did find that the Minwax polyacrylic helps a lot with that for me. So on artwork, I'll use that, and then the
Right.
rest of the build will be all shellac. Yeah.
So let's talk about the wood. Okay. So how do you guys find the wood?
So it's a lot of dumpster diving. we'll be walking by somewhere that's being renovated and we'll talk to the construction guys or whoever's dealing with the renovation or taking down the building. Otherwise, it's people tipping us off for the John Lennon and Yoko Ono wood that we got at 105 Bank Street. That was their original house here in the West Village. One of Rick's clients lived across the street, and he called me up and he was like, "Cindy, you guys got to get over here right now. They're taking the beams out of John and Yoko's place." And we ran up there with the dolly and talked to the guys, and we got a bunch of beams from there. And otherwise it's maybe somebody that knows about us that owns a building and is renovating and wants to do a trade for some wood for a guitar or something, but it's really just mainly those three things.
Well, there's a lot of stuff, like especially north, like I used to live up in Saratoga County, and I remember they were just barns falling down, literally falling down, and you'd see them. You can imagine somebody just calling
exactly.
barns falling down. Come out there and get the bees.
Yeah.
And most people was like, "Yeah, just get this crap out of here," But yeah, that to me is like, because I see your videos, you have a whole wall of wood, and it's all marked with a Sharpie, right? This came from here. This came from that.
Those are all the ends of the pieces that we cut, actually. Rick and I made that little wood wall during COVID. But yeah, we have like all the wood stored in the back, actually. So that's like kind of a display piece of a lot of the places that we've gotten the wood from as we were cutting the boards. And that's actually got to be updated by now. We're missing some places on there now, but yeah.
You gotta put the Smith barn. So like, what do you determine, like when you get the wood and you just look at it and you say, well, this is wide enough, we could use it for this, or this is too narrow, we're going to have to use this for that. How do you determine what old beam can become a guitar?
Well, it's really more so about the length in terms of that, because these are the original 2x4s. They're actually 2x4s. They're not like the ones that you'd find in the lumber yard.
Right.
Yeah.
They're actually 2 inches by 4 inches.
Or even longer. We have some that are one-piece bodies. I mean, these trees were just ginormous. I mean, absolutely amazing trees. But yeah, it's more so we'll either have a one-piece body or we'll use the same piece off of the same wood or off of the same board. So, we'll do half and half for the template, and that'll become the guitar, but it's the same piece. Other than that, what we look for, and that's the main thing, is whatever beam is quarter sawn, that's neck wood. The rest is all body wood, but that's really the only main difference that we really look for beyond where knots are in certain places and things like that, or nail holes, things like that.
Yeah. You just mentioned something that's very important to people that love guitars, and that's the difference between a quarter sawn neck and a flat sawn neck. What is the biggest difference in your opinion? Why do people pay more money to get quarter sawn wood for necks?
I mean, quarter sawn wood, I mean, you need it that way because it doesn't flex, If you cut it flat sawn, the neck's going to warp all over the place. Quarter sawn necks stays perfectly straight. That's why for our pine necks with no truss rods that are always about an inch thick, which is sort of, it's classical thickness, Banner J45s, 50s tellies. We keep them at about that thickness, but we can get away with that because this wood is so strong. This is the wood that they used for ship mass, and because it's quarter sawn, it just stays perfectly straight. So it's a whole different, it's just how the wood grows and how it warps and how it moves. This is the strongest way for a neck to kind of keep its shape and not warp.
Do you guys use truss rods, or you don't have to?
On the bigger necks, no. On the skinnier necks,
okay,
yes.
So you do route for truss rods.
Yeah, we use plenty of truss rods here. Everybody thinks we don't know what a truss rod is, but that's false. It's completely false. And we also make skinny necks. We make skinny necks. We anything other than the 1 inch thick quarter sawn pine necks. Everything else has a truss rod in it. Maple, all the other woods need truss rods, every single thing. And if it's skinnier, it needs a truss rod too. So, the one that I just worked on, actually, I'm starting to finish up this week, is It's an all pine guitar, but it's wood from Sag Harbor out in Long Island. And the guy wanted a real skinny neck, but he wanted all pine, so I made a fingerboard out of some Douglas fir that's all quarter sawn, and that's old pine too. But I had to do that because it was skinny, and that one's got a truss rod in it, but it's all pine.
Have you guys ever done a neck through guitar? Like, have you ever had a piece of wood that was so good that you could actually do neck through the guitar?
We can do neck throughs with most of our stuff. Yeah, I mean they're that big and long and perfect for it. Yeah. I've made a baritone recently that's a neck through baritone. So the whole neck through part is wood from St. Anthony of Padua, which is the oldest Italian church in the country, right around the corner on Houston that we got beams from. And the the fingerboard, I put a faux fingerboard on that quarter sawn actually because it's a bigger neck, out of the John Lennon wood, and then the two side wings are also John Lennon wood on there. But yeah, we make neck throughs. Yeah.
So you found, because you've been there, 15 years almost, that the wood from different buildings, does it have different characteristics?
It's all the same wood from upstate. I mean, it's white and yellow pine and like Douglas fir for the most part. We've gotten some water tower wood that was like cedar, and that was old growth too, and it was the stinkiest stuff ever to cut through.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Hard as a
No,
brick.
no, not hard, just like literally stinky. It smelled. Like we got wood from like a horse barn, like
You
not a
actually,
horse
yeah.
barn, but it was they used to have the horse carriages go into the basements in these old buildings. They used to have actual like ramps that went down. So we took some
Mm-hmm.
horse stables down in the basement of a building over on Sullivan Street. And when you cut through that wood, it smells like horses. Is like the bar wood, it smells like bar, you know? It smells like a bar.
Yeah, it's been bedded. Yeah, smells like
It's
beer and
pretty
sorrow.
funny.
Yeah, then you go down
Yeah.
you go down
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
Bowery, and it's
Yeah.
God knows what it smells like. Now, if the wood has knots in it, you have to cut around them, or do you incorporate the knots?
No, we incorporate the knots in the right places, you know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're, if, I mean, we incorporate the knots. There's the way that you got to know how
Right.
to lay stuff out, with this old wood. So if people see a
Mm-hmm.
knot, even on the neck, it's as long as
Yeah.
it's not gigantic and going through half the fingerboard,
Yeah.
you can usually stabilize them and they're fine as
Yeah.
long as you know what you're doing with it, which we
Yeah.
do after decades of working with it,
Yeah. In the old days, you wanted to see the knots.
Well, it's part of the characteristics of the old pine, and they're just gorgeous, and
Yeah.
those smell amazing to cut through. I get so psyched when I cut through a knot.
Mm-hmm. So when you get so somebody comes in and they want to order something, how important is the history of the wood matter to the buyer? Like, I want something from this building, then
Hmm.
like for the John Lennon house, right? That's what they want. They're more concerned about that than the guitar itself, or do they want everything and that's just icing on the cake kind of a thing?
Well, that part doesn't matter to us because we look at everything that we do as tools for making music. So these are workhorses of instruments before anything else. So it's kind of like the icing added on the cake where they get to pick where the wood comes from if it's something personal to them.
Hmm. Do you have different pricing depending on the wood origin? Like is there some stuff that's like high?
Well, yeah, if it's more limited, for sure. Yeah, if we have less of it, there's definitely an upcharge for
Yeah.
it. The John Lennon wood's more expensive, the McSorley's wood's more expensive, Chelsea Hotel wood's more expensive. It just depends. But, there's only so much of it once you get the batch. So,
Hmm.
and every single one again is one of a kind.
Right.
So there's certain stuff that's definitely more expensive because of the history or the limited quantity of it.
Right. If you're a New Yorker, you might have a connection to the building that wood came out of.
Absolutely. I mean, I wanted a Chelsea Hotel guitar from Rick when I was following him on the gear page. I just saw that he was using Chelsea Hotel wood, and as like a punk rocker growing up. I was going, oh my gosh, you know, punk rocker and a guitarist. I was like, I would love to get this from this guy, but again, I couldn't afford it. So it was always a dream to me.
Now, what about the CBGBs? Did anybody ever bring pieces of wood from there?
Somebody messaged me about that years ago and then never came through with it, which I'm obviously kind of depressed about. But if anybody out there is listening and knows what I'm talking about, bring us some wood because I got ABC No Rio wood recently,
Yep.
which I'm very psyched about because I used to go to shows there and I've been building some stuff out of that wood and it's just incredible. Yeah.
I think the personal connection to somewhere, like if I could have had a guitar made out of the wood that
Yes.
my grandparents' house, you know, up in Massachusetts, I would love that. You know, to me, that's really
Yeah.
cool. That's really cool.
My father actually, before he passed away, he pulled this guitar body out of his closet and it was modeled after a Tokai hummingbird, which was his first guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Where the hell did you get this?" Because I was working at the shop by then. I was like, "What is this? Where'd you find it?" He was like, "No, I actually made this when I was 18 out of grandma's the china cabinet, you know, like the closet." And I was going, "What?" He was like, "You got to finish it." So I have that guitar still, and Rick and I finished it for him before he died. It's such a cool thing to have, you know, with that personal connection, and that's part of the reason why I love to hear everybody's stories that I work with because I get it, you know.
That's to me is that's what's so special. I have a bucket list. I want a Carmine Street guitar that's made from an old pine something from upper state New York. You know, that's just
Yeah.
I have a connection to that area, and
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I would love to have something from there. So let's talk about your personal style. Is there a big difference between your guitars and Rick's guitar?
I mean, he's very traditional and classic with most stuff, but again, he's also
Right.
an artist, you know, he does a lot of wood burning, he does a lot
Mm-hmm.
of like oil painting and stuff like that. So he's got one of his series are called abstracts because it's all just covered in abstract painting, his oil paints that he uses. And
Mm-hmm.
he's done about 15 of those. So
Does he shellac those or clear coat them afterward?
I actually am not too sure if he even puts finish on those. He probably does. Rick,
Oh.
do you put finish on your abstracts? Yeah, it's just oil painting. It takes like 6 months to dry. Yeah, no, he does it like proper old school oil
Oh.
painting, and that's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what you
That's
get,
what you get.
man. It's cool. but but
don't rub your
no,
shoulder or your
it's
elbow on
good.
that
They're very cool. They're awesome and they're practical.
No, I'd love
Um,
to see that. He doesn't do like I see some of your builds are maybe gothic would be a good
oh
way to
yeah, I
describe some of
mean,
your
yeah, I
builds.
definitely he's a little bit more
I don't picture
he's a
Rick
little
doing
bit
gothic.
if you have to
Yeah, I see.
categorize it that way. He's a little more hippie and I'm a little more punk rock.
Hmm.
So I have that kind of darker
Exactly.
aesthetic and some of my
Hmm.
stuff. And if he thinks it should be blonde, I might think it should be black. But I
Hmm.
can appreciate it all the same, like both of us can.
Yeah,
So there's a
yeah.
very there's a lot of respect and sort of we learn something every day from each other, I feel like, no
Uh-huh.
matter. We both learn from each other.
Like your music, what music do you listen to the
I
most?
listen to everything from the blues, like old school blues. We have a lot of old school blues here, big band. I grew up with oldies because my grandfather kind of raised me. So I grew up with
Hmm.
101.1 CBS FM. But I got into the punk scene with street punk and all that when I was about 10 years old, 9 or 10, and I got really into punk rock. And so I'm kind of all over the place with stuff. I listen to a lot of like shoegazy stuff, surf, you know, some
Hmm.
indie stuff, a lot of goth rock stuff, post-punk. I'm kind of all over the place. I just don't really listen to much new country and things like that. I like old school country stuff.
Hmm.
But I'm pretty open-minded in terms of music, and it kind of goes with my mood, whatever I'm feeling at the moment and what I want to
Right.
listen to. So I've always tried to be pretty open-minded with music.
Now you probably have musicians lined up wanting you to build. Do you say, "Oh, what band are you in?" And then you check them out and kind of listen to them and say, "Well, you know, does that help inspire you? Kind of what you're going to build for them?"
Well, yeah, I always talk to people about what they're building, especially if they're touring or something like that. But again, it all goes back to me on what they're really looking for. whatever I can do, including getting to know their music, is all part of the whole process for me, so.
Have you seen bands using your instrument? Have you ever gone to shows where they're using your instruments and you're like,
Yes,
hey,
I
I
have.
need that
Yeah, one
guitar?
of my first ones actually. My first cathedral model, this guy Ian Doherty, who was in this band July Talk. I actually thought it was I didn't know if it was a scam or not, because it was the first guitar that I really kind of came up with besides my moto guitar myself, my cathedral model, and it was for sale, and he emailed me and he's like, "Hey, I'm on tour in Norway, but I really want this guitar. I can wire you money or whatever." And I was going, I don't, is someone actually going to buy this? Like, I don't, because I hadn't really sold anything, and
Mhm.
I didn't think anybody was going to want something like that. And I just made it kind of just because I wanted to make it. And sure enough, I mean, he bought it. He came here. He absolutely loved it. And I got to go to his show, and seeing that on stage for the first time, I was just like blown away. And I got to see him again years later. He got
Mhm.
his second guitar from me. It was all gargoyle themed. It was kind of like a reverse sort of RD thing. He played at King's Theater, which is right around the corner from me, and it's one of my favorite theaters ever. I was going in there when they were renovating when I first moved to Flatbush, and it was just such an incredible thing to see, and hear. And that's one of the coolest
Yeah.
things to see your guitar on stage, being played, or in any recordings and stuff. I love
Mhm.
it when people send me the songs that they're making.
Oh, I was gonna say, when you build, like, you must have a preference for pickups, right?
I mean, 95% of my pickups right now for my customs are made by Smitty with MJS up in Toronto. I used to work with one of my good old friends, Mark, with Dark Moon pickups here in New York, but he stopped making pickup. I used to work with him a lot. I work with Gemini sometimes. He's here in New York. We work with Lindy
Mhm.
Fralin. We worked with Don Mayer. I mean, we still use Seymour and DiMarzio's and things like that, but beyond what people want, sometimes people want something specific and they just send them to us, or they tell us what they want, and if, we're a dealer already, we order them. But for my customs, I'm mostly working with Smitty, and he's just incredible. He was a builder for a while. It's just him and his wife on their property up in Mississauga.
Mhm. Do they hand wind these?
They hand wind them. He's been hand winding for like 30 years now, and he is one of the most knowledgeable people with pickups. He's incredible. And he makes basically anything. It's just like whatever you need, he got it. So
Mhm.
I absolutely love him, and I've been working with him close to 10 years now. So most of my customs have MJS pickups in them.
Mhm. Are these single coil or are they humbucking?
Oh, it doesn't matter. It depends on the build. He makes single coils
Okay.
that look like humbuckers. He can do all kinds of stuff. He's done Gabon ebony wooden
Mhm.
covers for me, engraved and hand painted by his wife. I mean, they're just absolutely incredible.
In your opinion, what pickups sound the best in a 150-year-old pine?
It's just depends on what you're looking for. I mean, it just kind of depends on what people want. It's all different. I mean, obviously it adds something, or, doesn't, to whatever you're looking for. So, like, for example, the baritone that I just made for one of the producers and studio guys, with MJS pickups, we decided to put like push pots in him so that he gets the single coil sound with the series parallel thing. So he gets more tonal options with it. But
Mhm.
he's got the two humbuckers in there, and it's wired normally right now, and it sounds amazing. But it's like, do we want more option? Yeah. So let's make it more option.
Mhm.
But it just depends on what people
Yeah.
want. I'm not really a monogamous guitar player.
So you're not like, if it's this wood, it's got to be that. Like for
No,
me,
not
like
at
if it's
all.
Honduras mahogany, it's got to be P90s.
No,
Like I
I'm
can't,
not like
I
that.
don't, I don't like the sound of humbuckers on mahogany.
I'm not like that. I think that whatever people are looking for, you just kind of like, that's why I love working with Smitty.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of the time I'll just get my client directly in touch with him, and they'll talk to him directly about what sound they're going for, who their favorite musicians are, what they play already, what they have already, and they get something unique that still makes sense based on what they love and what they have and what they want. So for me, it's just kind of exciting to see what's happening each build in a way,
Mm-hmm.
because I get to work with him and the customer all around with everything. And in a way, it's like I don't know what's happening sometimes until Smitty calls me up and says, "Hey, this guy's getting these and these. Okay, I have the templates," or "Okay, I need to make templates for that." So it's kind of and also, I mean, I grew up playing like Strats. My dad was a big Strat guy. I mean, that was like his favorite ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a soft spot in my heart for Strats, but I also love offsets, and I also collect Kents, and I've been wanting to do a lot with like, four pickup guitars or the whole onboard electronic crazy switches and knobs and crazy things with the old Japanese guitars. And so I'm kind of all over the place with that. I think that the build kind of speaks for itself when you're hand making them and they're all custom, one of a kind. I don't think that there's really any sort of brief on that. I think that it just depends on what it is.
Yeah, it's a build. So to me, that's part of the whole build process. You're going to build and you're going to get everything different. You're going to try everything. So what would you say? What's the typical day for you? Is it a 9 to 5 job, or are you there 12 hours a day sometimes?
It's like an 8-day a week, like 36 hours a day job. I mean, I do everything myself. I mean, along with my husband now, he's helping me the last like 3.5, 4 years. But, Rick's got his own brand. I've got my own brand. We both run the store. So it's a lot of dealing with customers. It's a lot of phone calls. It's a lot of stuff like this. It's a lot of building. It's a lot of repairing. It's a lot of setups. It's a lot of getting your order lists together. It's a lot of figuring out your taxes. I mean, I got like 30 jobs for one person. We don't have people doing anything for us here. We don't have a shipping department. We pack up all our guitars and ship them ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of work, and it's not for the weak-hearted. That's for sure. But
No,
you gotta,
it can't be.
it's a lot of sacrifice, but it's sacrifice for something that you feel like you're not working a day in your life for. So it's amazing.
Like I said, I see you're so prominent on social media.
Thank you. I'm
always entertained. I always love watching your videos. And like I say, there's my favorite things in the world, guitars and woodworking. So it's like, bang, it's like the best of both worlds. I just wanted to reach out to you, and I really wanted to do this because to me, it's like there's a whole world out there. And like I say, there's so many people out there that know who you are now. And I hope your phone rings, and I hope I hope your backlog turns to 5-6 years. I want people to say, I don't care what you can build for me, just build it.
I love that.
And that's what we want. To me, nowadays, you think of guitars and you think of the sterile guitars that are made overseas or what. I don't want to say that, but I'm just saying you can go to any of these big box stores and buy something that was made and blah, 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 blah. Man, there's just nothing but like something that's handmade, something that an artist has made, something that reflects you in New York City. I mean, the fact that you could get something made from wood from this building or that building somewhere.
Yeah.
To me, it's just historical. We didn't talk price at all. I don't know if you want to.
Sure. Yeah.
What does somebody expect just to start with, just to begin to get something that doesn't have too much involved in it? What are they looking at?
Well, my Model Ts for the custom start at about 5,000, and I usually take a deposit.
5,000?
And Rick's got stuff available in the shop from about 4,000, give or take, and up. So it's really around that price range. And then
you could walk in there today, and Rick should have at least 3 or 4, maybe 10 Telecasters.
He's got way more than that. Yeah, he's always got like 40 or 50 guitars in here that are available.
So you can physically walk in Carmine Street Guitars and walk out with something that you just fall in love with in the shop.
Absolutely.
And you might start at about 4,000.
Yeah, and sometimes people want to get like some of my artwork or something more custom from him, so we can do a little customization or a custom pick guard for it or whatever in terms of the artwork stuff that I do. Because I do get a lot of pyrography orders, and that's like a lot of my work as well, with the wood burning and whatever other artwork people are wanting on it.
Yeah. And your pick guards only have like a 3-month waiting list, right?
Well, they're about 3 to 6 right now. Yeah.
When somebody wants that special order pick guard, it might take a little. Okay, well that's good. I can't wait. I'm going to come in. It's my hope in life to actually get something.
Come on in.
I don't think I can wait the 4 years or 3 years, so I'll just have to pick something off the wall, and
get a Cali man.
Yeah, that's true. I could get you something going. I don't even know what I'd just say, surprise me. You're like going to a tattoo shop. Surprise me. How many of your friends have done that? Yeah, just surprise me.
No, I love it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get this one done because I know how.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be
People
here.
are going to like this one. So, this is called Buy That Guitar. I'm about the guitars, and to me, handmade artistic guitar made, by somebody that's using old wood. Old wood, new guitar.
Yeah,
I'm going to call it.
I love it.
Old wood, new guitar. Well, I appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Phil.
This was a lot of fun, and I know you're busy.
Really appreciate it.
And say hi to Rick for me, and tell him put something aside for me. I'll be there sooner or later.
I will. I'll pick it out for you.
Yeah, something from Saratoga. Say, I want something from Saratoga County. That who knows.
We got you.
Okay. All righty. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
All right, sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Buy That Guitar, presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine. Please support VG for all they do for guitar players like us. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment on this podcast. I'd love to hear from you at ram@vintageguitar.com. See you again next week. Bye-bye.
The official Vintage Guitar Magazine price guide has partnered with 33 of the top guitar dealers in the industry to provide the most accurate values for thousands of models. This includes electric guitars, acoustic guitars, basses, amplifiers, effects, mandolins, and banjos. Whether your instrument is an investment or simply a piece you enjoy playing, it's always helpful to know what it's worth. If you're checking out a guitar at your local shop and want to know its value before making the purchase, this guide is your go-to source for all the details. Available in both print and digital editions, you can have the guide right at your fingertips no matter where you go.